Hi, Jess. My name's Kathy. How are you doing today?
I'm okay. I don't know why I'm here.
You don't know why you're here. Did somebody bring you here?
Yeah, my mom found out I've been cutting my arms, and so she made me see somebody. So that's why I'm here to see you.
Oh, have you been cutting your arms for a while?
Yeah, maybe a month or so.
Can I see your arms?
Mhm.
Is that the only damage you've done to yourself?
Well, this one's a little bit worse, but
Okay.
it's okay. It's fine. I mean,
Wh- What can you tell me why you're cutting yourself?
it's a release. I'm really upset because my boyfriend left me, and I love him, and I can't let him go. um, he's just not thinking straight, and so it just is a way for me to let out my emotions because there's just no other place to talk about it.
How long has he been your boyfriend for?
6 months, and he loves me. He gave me a ring, and I mean, we had a good time together, and I don't understand, like, he won't answer my calls, and even if I call 3 o'clock in the morning and I know he's asleep and he's home, he should be answering my phone calls. So I just don't get it. I don't know. Um, but I think too, if he finds out I've been cutting my arms, I think he'll come around. He'll be concerned. So that's, I'm sure somebody will tell him because nobody can keep their mouth shut. So when he does, he'll come around.
So, Jess, you're cutting yourself so that I'm trying to make sure I understand what you're saying. So you're cutting your wrist because you want to send a message to him, and he'll be worried about you and come back to you. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I guess so. That's part of it. I mean, the other part, I wouldn't mind if I laid down and never woke up. I mean, that would be okay too. Um, Sometimes I think about taking my mom's pills. She's got some Xanax or something, and figure if I take a bunch of them, then I can just lay down and go to sleep.
Have you have you had thoughts like this before, Jess?
Sometimes, yeah.
Has it been before this 6 months, or when did this all start?
Yeah, I mean, like in middle school, the girls were picking on me, and I didn't like that, and I just wanted a way out of that. So I had thought about it, but I didn't do anything.
You didn't do anything. You've never acted on any of these plans that you've had?
No, but I found that cutting really helps. So I just stick with that. I'm fine. I'm, you know,
How does cutting help? Help me understand. I have not done that, so I don't know how that helps you.
it just gives me a release. It lets me know that I can feel that. Um, it just sort of reminds me I am alive, good or bad. I am alive. Um, and it's just a release of my emotions. It just, seeing that blood comes out just feels so good. And
You're actually bleeding when you cut yourself.
oh yeah, that's the whole point. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now, you say that um, you want to go to sleep and not wake up, and you talk about your mom's pills. Have you acted on any of that? Any of the details other than, do you have the pills collected, or
I
uh,
know they are, so it would be very easy to do. Um, I mean, then there's always the car and something about, I can just lay down and go to sleep with the car running, and it will, because we have a garage, and something about just letting it run in there. From what I understand, I can just lay down and go to sleep, and that's
okay.
fine. So, I mean, if I want to do it, there are ways to do it.
So, Jess, I'm very worried about you because I don't. Your mom brought you here because she's worried about you and she doesn't want to see anything happen to you, and I don't want that either. Um, do you think, Jess, when you're in this state, that you're thinking clearly?
Of course, yeah.
You do.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
who wouldn't do these things in my position? I mean, when the love of your life just walks out and has another girlfriend, and he blocks my phone number, and he won't answer my texts, and he blocked me on Facebook, and he's not thinking straight. It's not me. I'm fine.
Well, I think just that there's probably a lot of people that end relationships that don't think about hurting themselves. They feel sad, but they don't cut themselves or think about hurting themselves. So that's what has me so worried about you. So we don't have a lot of options here. We can admit you to the hospital, and they can work with you and maybe get you on some medication and do some therapy with you.
Time to go to the hospital. I have papers due this week. I'm trying to get into college. I got all those things. I don't even know why, because it's too much work.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't have time to go to the hospital.
The other option that we have is we can come up with a safety plan for you. I'm not really sure if I feel comfortable with that, but do you think we could get some activities and make a plan to come up with that would, when you start to think this way, that you would maybe call a friend, maybe talk to your mother, maybe call me, maybe call a suicide hotline, and maybe we could prevent you from doing that?
I guess, because sometimes it's in the middle of the night and I don't want to wake anybody up. If there's somebody that I could talk to, I think it would be helpful.
Okay.
Especially somebody that doesn't know me, because, if I talk to a friend, they're just going to judge me and
Right.
going to worry. And so if there is some, I expect you probably want to sleep in the middle of the night, and leave the phone open for him when he decides to call me. So I would only call somebody if I had to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you were to call a friend, I would recommend that you call a friend and talk to them, someone you enjoy talking to, about something else other than your feelings. It would be a call to get your mind off of it. But if we listed a suicide hotline or an emergency psychiatric contact, that person you certainly should and would feel comfortable talking about, that you were going to hurt yourself and you needed to talk about it. So maybe we can work on what warning signs do you get before you really start to, when you cut yourself or when you think you're going to hurt yourself. And then we can work on some coping strategies and come up with a list of distractions, people that you like to talk with.
How that's going to help?
You don't know how that's going to help?
And do you think it's really going to help?
I think that this is an option for you. If you don't feel this will help you, then the option we have is that we'll have to admit you to the hospital.
Yeah, I'll do whatever you want me to do.
All right. So I'm thinking now that probably we should talk to your mom and bring her in, since she brought you. She's still here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we should talk about this, because I'm concerned. I think maybe you need to be admitted, and maybe this option of the safety plan is something that they could work with you on at the hospital. And then once they're feeling comfortable, they could admit you, get you on some medication, stabilize you, and then maybe put a plan in place. Okay?
Yeah, I don't know how medicine's going to help, but yeah, I'm willing to try it. That'll be
okay. So we'll get you admitted to the hospital, and we're going to admit you on what's called a section. We're going to legally admit you, so you don't really have the option of leaving the hospital. And if you leave the hospital, you'll be forced to come back. So we'll bring your mom in here. I'm sure it's scary for you, and we'll go through everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to end our recording because for some reason I'm getting a message that's saying my meeting's going to cut off in 10 minutes. Have you seen that?
Mm-mm. No,
I'm
because
getting,
the host, so I guess that's why.